All right, welcome to Build It. We've got Phil today, all right, and first one of the new year. So I'm imagining after your Christmas break, well, during the Christmas break, you had all sorts of crazy ideas about cool stuff that you could be making, or how you can make what you're building even cooler.
Yeah, dude, it was really good to have a break though, and come back. And yeah, so what's been really fun the last week or so is I've been able to basically finish off, well, not finish off, but 4 or 5 projects that have kind of got sidelined a bit have all come back, and now they're all like, hey, look, this all works together now. So
oh, amazing. Okay, well, what are you going to show us today?
Today we're going to have a look at kind of a progression from the command line stuff we did last time, of being able to create applications with all the Conductor and all that kind of stuff built in. And what I wanted to do was make it so you can still do all that stuff, don't get me wrong, but I've also brought back to life my Builder app, which is the IDE, with some extra tools into it so that we can do things like that.
Cool.
And I've been experimenting with like a app store idea as well.
So,
yeah, because one of the things that I always think is a problem is like starting from scratch. Like, unless you know exactly what you're doing, it's really hard to start from scratch. You don't know what to install and all those kind of like dependencies and things. It's just really hard.
Yeah.
So what I'm proposing here is like this idea of like, these are pre-made starting points with bits you can add in as well. So should we have a look?
Let's do it.
Let's make sure I didn't really give much to the demo gods. So I've been like working on this furiously to try and get it ready for 7 o'clock, which is why I needed an extra 10 minutes. So this is the concept. We have this app called Builder. This is not an Electron app. This is just a browser app. And the way that it writes files to the file system is through a WebSocket running a Node backend. So it sends messages from the browser to Node, goes down and writes the files, etc. Means that you don't need the overhead of Electron. You can use any browser you like, and we'll easily be able to build it into Holochain as like an option. Right, so trying to keep it familiar for people. So, like file, add a new Holochain app, add some folders. These things are coming along. So this repository stuff is going to work with the version control system that I don't know if I showed you that a while ago, but kind of built this version control system. Because if you think about Holochain, Holochain's not a database. So I really want to drum that into people's head. It is a version control system, because when you put something in there, you can't ever get rid of it. You just create a new version of it. So it works really well with that. Then once you're in your app, you can add modules and layouts and things like that. You can serve up your web app and lint your files as well, which is kind of fun. And the DNA, you can test and all that kind of stuff. And we've got some things here for conductors. So let's try it out, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
So if I want to start from scratch, I'm going to create a new Holochain app. And we've got some different types of applications here. I've got a basic one, which is simple. I've got some ones for profile sites. So you can go and look at these and go, well, what is this? Tells you a bit about it. So we've got like a carousel of images here of what you would get if you built this performers website, and a bit of info about it here. You've also got reviews down the bottom here of other people that have used it. And also what's really important is the developer info, like, who is this person that's doing it, and what do other people say about, their responsiveness, and how do they support you, and all that kind of stuff. Because what we're trying to build here is an ecosystem of developers and companies that are going to build all these applications and extensions for this. And what I'm proposing here is a like one way of doing it, and that's using the Vue CLI and using Vue as the front end stuff, and then Holochain in the back end. And of course, people could do whatever they like, but this is the way I'm going to do it. So if we go back to the basic one, we can look at this simple app. And this is actually a complete Holochain application. It gives you this app called Simple, where you can add things into your application all through Holochain. So what we can do now is give it a name. So we'll call it, because I'm actually going to be doing a video for FOSDEM tomorrow, so a bit more of this should work. So we'll just hit the install button here. And it brings up a familiar terminal, shows you what's going on in the back end.
This is really cool, Phil.
Yeah, thank you. So this takes a couple of minutes because this is using the 𝗔𝗪𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗁𝗔𝗓𝗔 presets and plugins approach. So you can tell it that this is the preset that I want you to run, and that preset then says, go and install all this stuff, do these things with the package file, and all these dependencies, and it's really, really solid the way it works. I really love it. So as you can see here, it's injecting a few more things, and it's actually installing my 𝗔𝗪𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗁𝗂 plugin Holochain app simple. So the first part, 𝗔𝗪𝗂𝗁𝗂𝗁𝗂 plugin, is you have to call it that, and then you can call it your name afterwards. So because this is one of the apps that Holochain is going to put out, it's Holochain, and because it's a whole app, I've called it app, and you'll see later when I add in a module, it's called module. So, and so this is all run through. Excellent. Okay. So now what you'll see here is we have a file explorer on the left here. This is all the stuff that got installed. So you can click on any of these, and they open up as develop. You can edit them as you like. So here's the DNA for that one. Let's go into the zooms and just drag that over a bit. And we've got some entries. So this is all your Rust stuff in here, and this is what gets built when you do compile your DNA. And then you've got all your front end stuff. So where we've got the views here, so we've got home and things, so it's the homepage, etc. And this is all configured. This is using code mirror and configurations that are public and open source for doing all this stuff. So now we've got that running, we can do things like, what about if we go and test it? So here we go. So this is running the tests for the DNA using Triarama. First time around, it has to compile it, so that takes a couple of minutes to run. But then consequent builds after that are super fast. As you can see, it's compiling all that stuff there. So you can actually just let that run. And what I'm going to do is show you the other stuff. So I haven't showed you the login step yet, because I'm actually running this as a Holochain app. So you don't actually have to log in when it's Holochain, because it knows who you are. But what we've got over here is, this is me, and I've got access now to the profile that I used for this app. So I can just open this up. And you'll see I've got personas, apps, and invites down here. This is the starting to build the personas app that we looked at a bit last time. But here, obviously this is still me hacking it, but the idea is that you'll be able to go to any app that you're using, click on this one here, and it'll show you the profile that you set for that application. And then once you're in here, you've got access to your, to all your personal info, different personas that you've got, and this thing called apps, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Now that this one should have finished. So if we're going to look at the terminal, this is the DNA down here. Not bad, 58 seconds. All right, do all the testing now. There's only 3 tests, so it just takes a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds. And there we are, all done. So now we have a compiled and built and tested DNA that is actually running. So what we need to do now is we need to actually run it in the Conductor, right? So we can go into Conductor and go to manage my demo agents. And let's create a new agent. So we'll call this load. Let's see, an image that'll do. Right. So now we've got this agent, and so what I need to do now is create them a key. So this is for the Conductor, right? It's not necessarily anything to do with the application. So we're going to create a, so that created us a new agent key. This button here is going to install this DNA that we just created. So hit that button there. Cross a bracket. All right, let's go and just fix that. See, didn't give enough to the demo gods before I came to talk to you. I probably put something hard coded in here. Yeah, I did. Right. So let's go get the actual thing. So this should all be automated, but I haven't got that far yet. So, so if we go here, get a new tab. So we can get a Conductor, look at our agents, I've got a key, install that, and that worked. Right, cool. So now I can go to this app when it's running. So what we need to do is start it up. So let's go to the app and go serve web app. And here you go, it's running the development server and doing all of its U-Boot Webpack stuff. Takes a little while to compile the first time. And I forgot something. Okay, all right, so that's my fault. I was experimenting with using the latest and it doesn't like that. So let's just go to that should have been done in the preset, but I made a mistake. So let's do that again, and let's try that again. App, serve web app. As you can see, Webpack chucks out a lot of info. Still not there. Right, what is it? It's unfortunate. Okay, so something has gone terribly wrong and I cannot continue. But what we can do is we can switch to something else. So what they should have done is, because now that it's, it should have been running and I could click on here and I'd be actually able to go and see the app that I'm running, but there's something wrong. So I'll have to come back to that. But what we can do is look at something a little bit different. So remember on here. So I can now go and look at this thing I'm calling my apps. And what this is instead of going to an individual app, like, you know, like at the moment, we always go to websites to do stuff. We go to Facebook to do stuff, and we go to, you know, I don't know, what's another one? What's not? You just go to these things and then you use that application while you're there. Right?
Yep.
But what I really wanted to do was just have the functionality of that in my own application. And then I can start to arrange stuff. So if we think about something like, I can just go here and I'll be able to click on work and see all these applications that I've got installed that do different bits and pieces. And what I can do is similar to the Oh, actually, no, you know what? I really do want to show you this. Okay, really broke it now. That's bizarre. Okay, that's balked completely. Let's try this on. Right, I can do it in here. It's the same sort of idea here. So remember how we created the app in the first one there?
Yep.
Right, so here we can do the similar thing, except you don't create whole apps here, you install modules. So you get things like, some messaging apps, same sort of thing, you got some images about it, what it's about, reviews, etc. And you can install stuff. So we could look at something like project management. Let's say I want to install an invoicing app for to invoice my customers. A few nice pictures here, a bit about it. I can now go install. And what that does is that does this thing called, it does a view invoke on the plugin. So that could just like run it directly. So now I've got this app called Ledger, and I can see here, I can go to open. And now I've got a Ledger app. So I can create invoices, I can create clients, I can look after my contacts and that sort of stuff directly in my Holochain app. And this is along the lines of the idea of the Holochain browser that we kept talking about for the last couple of years. So yep. This way I can create my own experience of how I use these different applications, and other people can create it their own way. So you and I could be using this same Ledger app, but I've got it installed in here. Maybe you've gone to, Ledgers Online or something like that, and you're using the same app. Right, and so here, this one here, I can click on, again, this gives you the profile. So this is the profile for this app, which would then get stored into my personas information, and I could reference it in the other one. And yeah, that's about what we got to. Shame I balked it, if I can fix it.
Oh, we'll pick it up in a week or two. That's really cool. I mean, like you said at the start, there are 4 or 5 pieces coming together now.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah, so really now we can do, you can build apps from scratch. You can do the same thing with that module. So just in the builder, you go add an app and it will do the same thing. It invokes the thing and adds it in for you. So then you can edit it. The next thing to do with that is once you're finished with it, is to then be able to create, to be able to publish these apps onto Holo, but also, what I want people to be able to do, because if you use any other software, right, you have to do it the way that the developers designed it, because that's it, right? That's how the entire planet works at the moment. But what I want to be able to do is really push this whole agent-centric thing and say, right, okay, that's cool. That's how the Ledger app works as it came out of the App Store. But I can use Builder, install it into Builder and go and change it. Maybe I don't like the columns. Maybe I want to do it some other way, or maybe I want to add in, or I want to tweak it, or want to add something else to it, right? So then I can create this new derived version of Ledger and publish that back into the App Store. And what I want to be able to do is use the traceability in Holochain to say, right, let's say I built Ledger, and I'm charging $5 for people to install it, but then you make a derivative version of it and you're charging $7, right? So to do that, to publish that derivative version, you and I would come up with some sort of arrangement to say, right, you sell the derived version, you pay me X amount.
Yep.
And because that's all built into Holochain, and that way, that whole thing about the developer info, you can see people will be able to rate them. I'll say, yeah, David's a awesome developer. His company is really trustworthy and great because of paying me properly and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it'll using so basically you're combining an app builder, an app store, like a kind of a module store, ratings and reputation. Hang on one sec, I'm just Something's wrong. Okay. Well, we'll have a look. I'll just finish speaking with Phil and then we'll come and have a look at the iPod, okay? Seems like if you step on it, it seems to work though. Personas as well. So you've basically navigated us through a configurable version of the internet in a really early stage. With as you've got ledgers, payments, etc. It's really cool.
Yeah. And so with the persona stuff, what Arthur and I came up with the other day was we've been having this like A/B thing for asking, is the personas DNA like a public DNA, like a global DNA, and then we use private entries, or do we have like this idea of like my DHT, so it's between my different devices? And I was like, well, why don't we do both?
Yeah.
Stuff that's public, like on a public website that you push out to be your public information, that can go into this global conductor service for personas. And then stuff that I want to be able to control who's sharing it goes into my personal one. And then you'll be able to bridge from either to other.
Amazing.
Yeah. I've also been thinking about how we can work with Solid as well, like what we've done here with the personas and profile stuff, and having our own, because essentially what's going to happen is that when you register for any Holo app, right, you actually get your own Holochain instance and it's running thing, right? So that'll have your own personas DHT. For us to be able to stick a profile site on the front of that, super simple, right? So we can say, you log in, now I've got my persona site, which is at my Holochain. That's essentially a solid personal online data pod, what they call it, right? So now I can start maintaining my own personal information on this pod and sharing it out. And because we've got this really cool capability system and Holo running online, means that information will be online and available when other apps want to use it. And because I can control access to it with capabilities, I think we've got a really good solution there.
Yeah, phenomenal. I can see that working. So you're basically giving the solid pods the ability to, again, be interoperable online using a distributed network.
Yeah, so not using, I'm not considering using RDF like they're using at the moment, but just this, yeah, I'm kind of working towards that idea of like having this idea of like, I can now have an online, my own profile site online. And then in that I can control who's allowed to share what, and then I'll be able to see all the apps that are using these different personal information. But see, the advantage of having this global conductor service of persona information is that there's one instance of my information. So let's say I put up an avatar, right? There's one avatar. All the apps don't copy it into their own DHT. They just reference it from that global thing. So there's only one. So when I change it, then everybody gets updated. There's no stale data anymore.
Yep.
And it comes down to the applications using the caching and browser databases and stuff like that to like cache that stuff while they're using it. And then when they care, that's when they'd go and do a check, such as say somebody wants to post you something. Right up until the point of them actually printing out the label, they don't really care where you live.
Yep.
And when they want that, they go and check into the DHT, and it notices that you aren't publicly sharing your address. It's a bridge request into your DHT, which is running in your Holoport. Get the information from there.
Yep. Phenomenal! I can't wait to see how this has evolved and what else you've been cooking up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I've got to get this demo ready for the FOSDEM thing this week. So awesome. I'm on a deadline.
Okay, good luck with that, and thank you so much. Great to see you, and yeah, can't wait to see what's coming next. It was amazing today just to see it all coming together. All these different pieces. Really cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. I'm literally like grabbing whole chunks of projects and going, right, put that into here and like let's use it like that. And really nice is being able to make all the individual like new features into a plugin and go, right, in this app, I want that, and I want that, and I want that. And the way that I designed it is you can just drop stuff onto each other. We're going to have to come up with some namespacing thing in the future, but for now, you can literally just like build a piece of functionality, publish it as a plugin, and then drop it into any other app.
So cool. All right. Good luck with the deadline, and thank you again, Phil. Amazing stuff.
No,
See ya.
see you later.